Welcome to Running the Table, the podcast where we run through everything on the table in the world of college basketball. Here we are, in the wake of the national championship, where sadly I have to sit here and tell you about how the UConn Huskies have become back-to-back national champions of men's college basketball. Without further ado, let's run it. The national championship ends in a final score of UConn 75, Purdue 60. What a game, what a story. Purdue fighting to fully purge out the memories of last year's tournament and previous year's heartbreak, and UConn fighting to become the first back-to-back champions since 2007. Both teams came to play, both teams battled, but in the end, Purdue ran out of steam. Let's take a look how it all went down. The national championship started with a TKR bucket for Purdue, and for most of the first half, it looked like it was going to be a battle. Zach Edey established himself inside, with Purdue finding him early and often, but that's exactly what UConn wanted Purdue to do. While Purdue won the inside game, UConn won everywhere else. You didn't see it as much early on, but it became clear as the game went on. Both teams went a little cold in the middle of the first half, with 14 points total being scored across 6 minutes of basketball, all to find the game tied at 23 with 7 minutes to play in the first half. From there, UConn went on a little run as Purdue still couldn't get anything to fall to build a 7-point lead before Braden Smith would hit back-to-back buckets, including Purdue's only 3 of the game, to cut the lead right back down to 2. Down 4 with a minute to play, the first half ended on a note that would foreshadow the type of dominance and hustle that UConn would play the second half with. Donovan Clingan took a rare wide-open 3 from the top of the key, pulling Edey away from the basket, of course, to try to contest the shot. Cam Spencer would find his way to an offensive rebound. UConn would reset their offense, and Tristan Newton drove to the basket, missing again, only to have Stephon Castle outjump everyone and tip the ball in, putting the Huskies up 6, where they would end the half. For once, it wasn't Purdue that was doing the wearing down. With the style of game that UConn was forcing the Boilers to play, it worked Zach Edey constantly, and he did slow down as the game went on, and as they denied the three-point line and kept Purdue from gaining any traction anywhere else on the floor. Edey's first bucket of the second half would be a little over 6 minutes in when he got a tip in off of Braden Smith's missed layup, and that only cut the lead to 9 at that point. The second half proved UConn's superior balanced offense, with Newton, Spencer, and Castle dicing Purdue's defense for buckets all over the floor. Zach Edey would still end up with 21 second half points. And I know I said he slowed down, but that's just how much he was getting the ball. As Purdue fed him left and right, but they were forced away from doing anything else that they wanted to do, going just 1 for 7 from the three-point line, only getting to the free throw line 15 times and going 11 for 15, and nobody scoring double digits except Edey and Smith. It was tough scenes to watch from West Lafayette as the Huskies kept falling farther and farther away as they brought the lead to as much as 18 with 5 minutes to play. The game would end 75-60 as UConn would capture their 6th national title, all since 1999, and become 6-0 in the national championship game. Heading into the top performers, at the top of the list, back-to-back National Player of the Year and dominant force that he is, Zach Edey. In his final collegiate basketball game, he goes for 37 points, 15 of 25 from the floor, 7 for 10 from the free throw line, with 10 rebounds and 2 blocks. Behind him is Braden Smith, scoring 12 points, but only on 4 of 12 shooting, 1 for 2 from 3. As I mentioned, the only three-pointer they made that game. 3 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals. For UConn, they're led by Tristan Newton with 20 points on 6 of 13 shooting, 2 for 5 from 3. He was 6 for 6 from the free throw line with 5 rebounds and 7 assists. And behind him, Stephon Castle. He ended up with 15 points on 6 of 13 shooting as well, 1 for 4 from 3, 2 for 4 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 steal. And to the honorable mentions, for Purdue, it actually ends up being Lance Jones with only 5 points. But he shot 2 for 3 from the floor, 0 for 1 from 3, 1 for 1 from the free throw line, and 3 rebounds. That's how bleak it looked for the rest of the supporting cast for Purdue. For UConn, it was Cam Spencer. He ended up with 11 points on 5 of 12 shooting, 2 for 4 from 3, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. And that is a familiar name to Purdue fans since we got to see him at Rutgers for the last couple of years as well. Heading into some key team points for Purdue, you got to find ways to score from the outside. UConn had a great defensive game plan and executed it perfectly. They let Edey battle with Clingan as much as possible, only dig down very occasionally, let him get his buckets and take away every other part of Purdue's game. No kickouts, no man diving to Edey on the pick and roll, leaving somebody wide open at the top of the key. None of it. That left Purdue very little options to get assists unless they were the one throwing it to Edey in the post. They ended with 8 assists on the game. All 8 came from Braden Smith. No one else registered a single assist, and this is from a team who averages over 18 assists per game. UConn religiously defended the three-point line and kept Purdue at just 1 for 7 from 3, and that one was a step-back prayer to end the shot clock from Braden Smith. What Purdue was missing this game was a playmaker at guard who could get themselves open and find shots for themselves that they could make. Braden got his chances in the pick and roll, but just couldn't knock down enough of them. And secondly, it's getting outglassed. For once, at the worst possible time, Purdue lost the game on the glass. Very few teams can out-rebound the Boilermakers, but UConn showed that they were one of them. As Edey got tired and couldn't put as much effort into tracking down every rebound, Purdue's guards just didn't do a good job of boxing out at all, and almost ever, and gave up 14 offensive rebounds. They lost that battle 14-9, and even lost the defensive side 21-19, proving how important being dominant on the glass is and utilizing those second chances on offense. As for UConn, game planning. The Huskies came in with a superior game plan. Let Edey get his and eliminate everything else. They executed it to a T, and that was enough to throw Purdue off their game. I don't know what type of game plan Purdue had, but it didn't seem to work well enough. They did hold UConn to 75 points, below their average of 81.5 points per game, but they let their guards eat. 4 players ended up in double figures for UConn. Purdue took what they gave them, and their go-to of running their offense through Edey just wasn't enough without the other aspects of their game. Hats off to Dan Hurley and the Huskies. They came prepared. Secondly, it's hustle and heart. I don't know what it was in this one, but if you watch this game start to finish and looked at each individual play, it just looked like UConn wanted it more, had more energy, and even out-hustled Purdue. Dan Hurley knows how to motivate his group and keep them hungry. There's no other explanation to winning two back-to-back titles. That's so hard to do. They proved that they not only belonged, but that they were the defending champs for a reason. Congrats to the Huskies. They deserve this one. It definitely hurts. There is no next game for this group. This was it. The senior class for Purdue was their winningest ever, but they came up just one game short of ultimate glory and being cemented forever in Purdue history. There's no doubt that they will always be remembered, though. As much as this group, these seniors, they are irreplaceable. But I do believe in the direction of this program, in Matt Painter, and what the Boilers have next. I see more Final Fours in the future, and I can't wait to see when they find themselves in this place again. And hopefully, next time, they can hang the banner that they want to. As for the UConn Huskies, Dan Hurley and company has them firmly cemented as a blue blood program, winning back-to-back national titles, 6 for the program since 1999. You can't say that they haven't earned their way. It'll be interesting to see what kind of team they're able to put together next year, but they'll be chasing the ever-elusive three-peat, done only once before by John Wooden's UCLA Bruins. But that's all I've got for today. This brings the end to the college basketball season, but you can expect to see plenty more college basketball content from us. The offseason will bring plenty of interesting news. The transfer portal, recruiting, coaching changes, it'll all shift the landscape until next season begins in the fall. Up next is our best of the bracket, but expect many more content throughout the spring and summer. But until then, like and subscribe for more college basketball content. And until next time, I'm out.